Everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming to you on a Friday night, a great Friday here. It's a beautiful day out there in the state of Wisconsin. I have Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports with me here tonight for the weekend preview. Aaron, how we doing on this Friday?
Not too bad, not too bad. I can't say it's been beautiful here. It's we saw the sun maybe once in the last 3 weeks. It's just I guess we live in like London now. It either rains or it's cloudy or both. But it could be where it's warm. It's been in the 70s almost every day. So it's for this time of year it's kind of just strange, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean I'm excited to get into the weekend slate. Kind of a lot going on as always.
Aaron's battling a cold right now too, so he's battling through it. He said he's got to get on there like MJ would have. You battle through the flu, he can battle through the flu. So here we go. We're gonna get into it today. We got to start with the bad, right? We got to start with the bad. Always with the bad, right? And the Brewers, well, sadly, we watched Game 3 of that series. Wisconsin fans, if you're a Mets fan out there, I still don't like you guys. Still don't like Jesse Winker after that series. That dude can go far away. I did see Willie Adames was waiting in the parking lot for him. We finally heard what those two were yelling about. And apparently, Willie said that he would meet him in the parking lot. So Willie Adames was waiting for Jesse Winker in the parking lot after game one. I was kind of taken back by that. If that's the truth, wow. Wow. I did not see that one coming. But the Brewers lose again. Wild card series. Depressing. Brewer fans they're lost. They don't know what to do, Brewer fans out there. And I mean, it's all over social media. It's Brewers can't do this, Brewers can't do that. They lose in the playoffs all the time, this and that, and everything in between. We're gonna start here. We're gonna start here before we get into all that nonsense and everything else. We're gonna start here. And that was the call from Jeff Levering on the radio last night. I don't know if anybody out there heard or was listening on the radio. I was listening on the radio. I couldn't handle the ESPN announcers anymore. I really am with, I saw a couple people talking about it, getting some of the hometown commentators to do playoff baseball games. And I'm all for that because ESPN stinks. I mean, when they can't tell you a guy's name or who's playing, what position and this and that, it's terrible. It's terrible. So I was listening on the radio. And if you haven't heard it yet, you can go over to our Twitter page there, Wisco Sports on the Go with Trade. I shared it on there, the call. And Jeff Levin comes on there, and you could tell, he's fighting back tears. It's honestly rough to listen to be honest with you. It's how every Brewer fan, outside of anger, felt last night. There was that. That's how they felt. And Jeff Levin's on there, and he gives his sign off. And, yet we listen to Yelich talk after the game, and we hear all this. And it kind of made me feel, I don't know why, like we heard the last game from Bob Uecker. Listening to Uecker, listening to Jeff, listening to Uecker sign off of that one was rough too, right? And I don't know, Aaron. I mean, it would suck. It would definitely suck to be the end, right? The way that ended. I mean, you're talking about 20 minutes before Jeff Levering's got to sign off here, or that, the heartbreak happens. 20 minutes before, we go back-to-back shots and take the lead 2-0. Sal, Bowers go back-to-back. Brewer fans are going nuts. AmFam Field is blowing up, and then all of a sudden, it's like it flipped. It flipped over. And I know you had something to add there on commentators. What do you got? What do you got there, Aaron?
Yeah, and I'm by no means am I trying to downplay because I saw one of the teams I root for in the Baltimore Orioles same thing. Like you guys have been, the Brewers I should say have been in the playoffs far more often than the Baltimore Orioles have been lately. But it's the same thing. First round exit, just boom. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. Like the regular season, you can have an outstanding regular season and you go into a wild card and you lose 2 games, that's it. Like it's a very cutthroat type of deal. It's just, you either show up now or that's it. And that's all there is to it. So when I did hear you play that audio clip, I would at least, I'm not trying to say have a glass half full because I'm somewhere in between all the time on that because it's like, the most of the team will return. The Brewers have been a consistent franchise. Like you want to get over the hump. You're tired of hearing that. You're tired of oh, well, next year's a new year. Like, I get that, all that, but at some point you got to say, when is it our time? When do we finally do it? And what popped in my head, and like I still kind of can't get over the whole Oakland A's thing for some reason. I just it's such a like travesty for like a fan base. That's more so where I'm coming from on that, is like, at least you guys get to play baseball next spring in Milwaukee. Like when he signed off that and said, we'll see you in Scottsdale or Arizona or what, wherever in Arizona, but we'll see you next year, Brewers fans. It's like, it just popped in my head. Well, the Oakland A's fans are no longer, like, they don't even have that to go to. And like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse about, this isn't about the Oakland A's right now. It's about the Brewers, but at least you have a baseball team that's not for going somewhere in the foreseeable future. Like, I can't imagine, like one of these franchises just packing up. Like, I mean, the Baltimore Colts did it back they didn't even tell anybody they were doing it either. That's even worse. I mean, that is like scummy of the earth. I'm not going to try and say anything more profanity there, family friendly show, but it's, yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at that as, maybe a little bit of a silver lining. Like, you still have baseball to look forward to next year, but it's more so like, you got to look at it like how they lost, right? Like, how they lost was probably worse than like it. The way that it unfolded that's where the gut wrenching part of it is, because like you said, I mean, they bring in, what was it, Frelick that hit I'm sorry, Bauer's pinch hit home run. Like, you're talking about October baseball. That's a pinch hit home run or a pinch hit clearing double. Like, those are the moments you remember. And now all these type of moments will kind of be lost in the shuffle because of the series just, going the way of the Mets instead of the Brewers. So it's very unfortunate. I mean, I guess you could also look at it as far as, maybe this Brewers team on paper, it's a miracle they were as good as they were, but at the same time, they were as good as they were. So you can't, take anything away from them then too. And Peralta coming in the eighth inning and being shut out, and then for Devin Williams to be the guy that kind of unfortunately blows it. Is that if you would have said it's going to unfold that way, I think a lot of Brewers fans and baseball fans in general would not have expected, Peralta to be absolutely lights out in a situation where he's not usually in, and then Devin Williams to be the guy that is just he's not on his game, So tough
I
one. I
think
mean, tough
that's
one, man, to say the least. I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine how you feel, because I've seen brutal losses, but it's when it's a year in and year out thing it builds a mountain of just disappointment, and that's the hardest thing to swallow, I think.
I think that's what's hanging a lot of Brewer fans onto Devin Williams right now, is the fact of Freddie came in. Freddie goes lights out in that one. And, you look at the whole game in total. I mean, the Brewers, outside of the Devin Williams performance, you look at Tobias, you look at Trevor McGill, all throughout that game, the pitching staff did its thing. They did it. They did their thing throughout there. And I know a lot of people, when they saw Freddie coming in, they were probably like, oh no, why? Why Freddie, right? But it worked. It worked. And then it was like it was setting up just how you wanted it. You got Freddie in there in the eighth. He threw 13 pitches and got you through it. And then you go to the ninth, you have Devin Williams. You got a 2-run lead. You got it. Everything is in the right direction. And Devin Williams just didn't have it. He didn't have his stuff. And it sucks to say. It really does. Now, I'm looking at a lot of people saying, well, trade Devin Williams. We're done with Devin Williams. We don't need Devin Williams, this and that. And I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go as far to say that, like Freddie Peralta said after the game, a lot of the guys said, Devin Williams had one of his worst games in the worst moment. That's all you can say, right? There's nothing more that you can say than Devin Williams had a terrible moment it was the biggest moment and it was the worst moment, right? You're gonna have games like that. You are, and it sucks. It really does. I don't want to say I feel bad for Devin Williams, because it's his job to shut down that game, right? But at the same time, you're gonna have bad games. You're going to, and Devin Williams had his bad game right then, and it sucks. It does, but we got to move on, right? We got to move on. We got to think about the future, and you nailed it on the head there when you said that this Brewers team, they weren't supposed to be as good as what they were. They weren't. You looked at them on paper. You looked at them. I mean, you look at all the predictions to start the year, and nobody gave the Brewers a shot. This wasn't even a thinkable thing to lead the division for, I believe, 173 days. Nobody gave the Brewers a chance to do that, and they did it. They did it with injuries galore. Devin Williams has a fracture in his back, and Yelich goes down multiple times, and then he's finally done for the season there. And then we see the pitching staff. Woodruff's done for the year. We knew that, but then Wade Miley gets hurt, and you're bouncing around starters left and right. You don't know who's starting tomorrow. And you go through that all season long, and somehow, some way, you came out on the other side. And everybody's bashing Willy Adames for the playoff series. Well, yes, he did not play well in the playoffs. But regular season wise, you're not where you are without Willy Adames. You're not where you are without the surprising play of a lot of these rookies throughout the season. They have a lot to build on. Now, Willy Adames, I believe, I don't know how I want to feel about Willy Adames, but I believe we saw the last game of Willy Adames in a Brewers uniform last night. That was it. That was Willy Adames. I just don't think he's going to get a big payday. I don't think the Brewers can compete in that. I think they're going to lose Willy Adames. So you lose Willy Adames now. You got to be able to replace the production of Willy Adames now. So we're going to find out these rookies, maybe some guys down in the minors yet right now, and then who knows, free agency. If you go out, you add a piece here and there. They're ahead of the rebuild, right? And you want teams, you look at like the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers right now. Those are teams that are ahead of the rebuild that they thought they had. The Brewers are ahead of the rebuild. We thought this was a rebuild year. Burns is gone. It kind of felt like it when we traded away Burns. We were in a rebuild mode now. It wasn't. They found a way all season long. So to me, as much of a gut punch as it was, the Pete Alonso home run, as much of a gut punch, as much as it felt like somebody just stabbed me straight through the heart, as much as I felt like I wanted to scream and yell and just cuss out the world, I looked, it took me a minute because I was cussing out the world there for a little while, but it took me a minute, but then I sat there, and you ever had that moment where you're watching, you're a big Philly fan, so I mean, watching the Phillies, the Eagles, anything like that, you ever had that moment where you see the end of a game like that, and you're not crying, you're not, punching the wall or anything like that, but you watch the end and you just sit there and you don't know. It's not like you don't know what you need to do next, like shut TV off, whatever, go to bed, whatever it is. It's not like you don't know, but you sit there and you think about it and you're like, God, this sucks. This sucks. Like this feeling that I'm getting right now, it sucks. And that is the crappy part of being a fan. Now I know Wisconsin sports fandom is tough because we watch the Badgers, the Packers, all that. The 2014 NFC Championship, we watch all these championships for the Packers go away. We watch these Brewer teams fall short, but it's the part of being a fan. I don't know. Have you ever been in that moment before where you kind of just watch the end of a game and you're just like, wow, like it just flipped that fast and you're just like, wow, it's over. That was it.
Well, and like I said, I don't want to make it sound like, oh my God, I threw the Phillies or the trash or the Orioles, but like when I just draw a little bit of a parallel to the Oakland A's. Like I was watching that game, a week or so ago, and like the fact that that's it for them, that was really like, wow, like because I just kind of sat there like, that's it. That was one of those moments. I mean, really, just the Orioles game the other night. I mean, I was watching it, Cedric Mullins finally hits a home run. It's 1-1, and you're like, okay, this is anybody's game. And then nobody else does any. Like it just felt like they were helpless. Like when a team can't score. Like I know your Brewers, back-to-back home runs, you're feeling good. But it to me in the playoffs, if you don't have granted the Brewers always have good pitching, so I won't downplay that. But it's like when you're clinging to like a tie game or you're clinging to like a 2-0 lead or something, just where it's like very little margin of error. Like the first guy gets on a walk and it's like, oh, here we go. Like you're that close to tying a game. I always feel horrible. Like I always feel like I'm on the side of negative. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm like, here, I've seen this play. It doesn't matter what team it doesn't, like there'll be times the team's playing Ohio State and I'm rooting for that team to beat Ohio State, and I'm like, here we go. Like it's just whatever team I'm rooting for or I have rooting interest in a game, and like it's getting to the point where you're in a position where it presents itself that you can lose. I'm like, I've seen this before, and like it's in the back of my head. Like here we go. Like I won't be surprised if we lose again. Like it's just so yep. Yeah. I mean, the other night, like I said, when I was watching, because I thought the Orioles were better than all the injuries, this, that, and the third. I mean, Bobby Witt, your guy Bobby Witt was just
Oh yeah.
doing big thing, and it nothing against you, man, but I was like, damn it, like I was just like he was really like he's another hate the face now for me, and he kind of was before, but now especially because it's probably like how you feel about Pete Alonso now. So it's like, I mean, yes, you got to tip your cap. They came up and did what they had to do, but the Royals, the last time the Orioles were in the ALCS, which was like I think 2014, the Royals just annihilated them. I think it was 3-1. So there's like that little bit of me that will forever, I should say, have a disdain for the Royals. And then just after that game too, because you lose game 1-0. I mean, Corbin Burns went out there and gave you 8 innings of just masterclass. Like nobody was hitting that guy around, and then to not score any runs, that I don't know what's worse. I was thinking about that last night because when you were reaching out to the group message, I was thinking I guess I would rather lose in the fashion that the Orioles lost, just not being enough, because that gut wrenching, just blown saves are like you take all the air out of a balloon. But in the same respect, it's almost like, wow, you can't score 2 runs to make this a game. Like you can't play small. You can't get a guy on first, hit him over to second, hit a single and then hit a sac fly. Like no, in 9 innings you can't do that. That's defeating in its own right. So I've been there before. I mean, the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl, I kind of felt like that in the middle of the fourth quarter. I knew they were going to lose. I saw the writing on the wall. So I know exactly how you feel. And it's like, to me, this might sound super negative, but it feels like a long time till next. Like when stuff like that happens, it's like, and then I get in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, they didn't do it this year. Why are they going to do it? Like, what are the reasons they're going to overcome it next year? Sure, they might, but then you think, I've seen this before. Like I just, it's tough. It's tough for people that are always positive after something like, oh, well, they have a good team coming back, and there's a lot of young. You still have to be, I think, a little bit realistic. Like, okay, what's it gonna take? That's why I look. What's it gonna take for us to be from here to there? And sometimes I think it's like more than the fans want to admit, and that's the hardest thing too.
I can't handle the fans that the negativity all the time. I can't handle it.
No, no,
I
no.
really can't. I mean, seeing some of them last night, I posted out there on social media and I said, I'm speechless right now. I just said, I didn't know what else to say. I said, I'm speechless right now. And I can't remember, one of them said, you had to expect this. Like, this was expected. I'm like, no. I expected that at some point the train would come off the tracks. Like, I expected there was a possibility that the Phillies would have beat us, But to go into the top of the 9, 2-0, with Devin Williams coming on, one of the better closers in baseball when he's on, no, I did not expect it. I can't tell you that I expected it. So there's a lot of those fans out there too, and the ones that if Freddie Peralta would have blown it, they'd have been like, well, why is Freddie in there? But now that Freddie Freddie pitched well, then it's that same fan. It's like, oh, that was a good move. That was a good move. I just absolutely cannot stand them. I absolutely cannot stand them sometimes. It drives me absolutely nuts. And you know what drove me nuts last night watching that game? I don't know if it was just me, and anybody in the comments, if you noticed this too, watching that game, let me know, because William Contreras, now he had that left knee problem. His left knee was it must have been very bad because he had a brace on it, a very bulgy brace. You could tell he was wearing it from underneath the pants there. And I mean, watching him in that game, I don't want to say that he didn't care, but at the same time watching him, it was like his attitude, everything like that. It's like he was checked out. It was like he was checked out all game long. And I don't know. Eric Haas was on the bench. And I'm not saying at the end of the day that you should have went with Haas over Contreras. But it just seemed to me like Contreras was checked out, and Eric Haas is going to give you what Eric Haas is going to give you. That I like that guy. I mean, I honestly do. If they had a choice between bringing back Gary Sanchez or Eric Haas, I'm bringing back Eric Haas to be in the catching role. But it just seemed to me that William Contreras was just checked out, and he just wasn't feeling it. And I don't know if it was the knee, if it was partially because of the knee or whatever it was. But, man, he just seemed out of it last night, and that just drove me nuts. That just drove me nuts watching that out there. Was the effort, and if he was banged up, so the effort wasn't going to be able to be there. He wasn't going to be able to beat things out. And his bat, I believe his bat was affected by it, so possibly should have gone in a different direction in that sense. But it's hard to bench Contreras. Like, you can't. It's hard to tell him completely no. They took him out of the catching room, but it's hard to tell that guy completely no on playing in general because I mean he's a guy who wants to be in the lineup. So I don't know. That was something that I noticed there, but I've heard a lot of people saying with this Brewers team, trade away the pieces, right? Trade away the veterans and everything like that, and just stick to the young core. Just stick to the young core that you got, and trade away the veterans. And I get that. I get the sense of that, but I don't think I'm going that far. I really don't. I really think Willie's gone. I'm not trading Devin Williams. So for everybody who's saying that, I'm not trading away Devin Williams, but I'm bringing back most of the pieces. Most of the pieces that made this run, I'm bringing them back. I don't think Rhys Hoskins is going to get a big deal anywhere else. The way that he played, I think Rhys Hoskins is going to accept the player option. He's going to stay in Milwaukee. I really do. So you're going to have Rhys back. You're going to have the young core back, Contreras. Yelich is going to be back healthy. You're going to have Woody back in the starting rotation. Maybe Wade Miley. I don't know what they're going to do with that situation, but maybe Wade Miley comes back. Your bullpen's going to be fresh and back. You go out, you add an arm, you're going to have to add power because you're going to lose power. You're going to lose 30-some home runs out of Willy Adames and 100-plus RBIs. You're going to lose that. So you got to be able to replace it. You got to find a bat out there. But, I mean, Aaron, you're not blowing up the Brewers, right? I mean, you're not blowing it up and just going with all the – I mean, most of the team's young guys anyways, so it's not like you're trading away everybody. But, I mean, I'm bringing back the core. I'm bringing back the guys, and I'm letting it go again. I am. They're ahead of the curve right now. I think if you add an arm in the bullpen or you add another arm in that starting rotation and maybe you add, like I said, a big bat in that lineup, I'm running it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I did, before we came on, I did tune into – I watched those Locked On guys, but I flipped over to Locked On Brewers today just to see, like, how – what that – I forget the guy's name that runs it. But
Chuck Freeman.
Yeah, I know you don't always see eye to eye with him. So the Rhys thing's interesting because he said he doesn't see the Brewers even extending the player option to because they pinch hit for Hoskins with what Bowers, right?
Yeah, Bowers. Yep.
So I know what was it righty or whatever. It was one of those matchups, right? But they say like his point was you don't pinch hit for Rhys Hoskins like if it's doesn't matter, lefty, righty, all whatever matchup it is. So that's where he thought, that's probably the last time because I think Rhys was like 0 for 8 or 0 for 9. Like he didn't have a hit in the post. He didn't do much of anything.
Pitch with the bases loaded. That's it.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. I'm like, everybody has I always go into speculation. Like we were talking about Corbin Burns before we came on, like where he'll go. Because I doubt Baltimore will extend an offer. I mean, they'll probably extend an offer and then he'll laugh at it. But it's one of those things. Yeah. I mean, the core of it's a shame. I would have liked to see Yelich just for baseball. Yelich be healthy for the series because he's still a fun player. Like he can still be a threat. That's for sure. He's hitting over 300 this year, as you know there. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can't. I think you're right on the Willy Adames thing because he's going to command upwards of probably $30 million or around that. I don't know what the market is. I know Lindor is a shortstop and he makes a crap ton, but I don't know other than like Lindor, Trey Turner. I mean, like I don't think Bobby Witt got paid. Gunnar didn't get paid. Like there's a lot of shortstops that are young. So I don't know what the market is for like I'd probably say 30s or high 20s or something like that. So probably they go the youth route there. I don't think you break it up. I mean, I think adding a pitcher would be key just because obviously Burns has been gone this whole year, but you always want to have that type of guy. So if they can find someone, maybe not to Burns level, but at least upper echelon, like Zach Eflin on the Orioles. I'll be interested to see where he goes. He's like a decent arm. Like he's consistent. He's decent. The Orioles traded for him halfway through the year. He's probably not going back there. So somebody like that, I could see them. He's not going to command a ton of money, but he's a great number 3. If he's your number 3, you're in good hands because I mean he went out there and shut the Royals down. So in the playoffs. So yeah, I mean I don't think you break it up. I'm trying to think who else. Like all those guys looking through their lineup. I mean most of them are young guys. You don't have like Adames. Reese, I'm interested to see. I think there'll be offers out there. I don't know how much. That's the thing, because he didn't have like an explosive year like a lot of people kind of predicted he would. He didn't have like a horrible year, but it's like, okay, now he's a year older. He's coming off like a down year compared to his standards. 26 home runs. I don't know. He's not a particularly he's not the best first baseman ever. That's for sure. He's not Teixeira or somebody like that. So yeah, I don't know that one. I'm interested to see. Maybe he goes to like a mid market team. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate, but yeah, just keep what you have. I mean, you have something there. It's just like I said, how do you go from where you're at to where you want to be? Because I heard also on that Locked On Brewers, I'll let you go then, but on Locked On Brewers that he had mentioned that they might go for Goldschmidt if the Cardinals don't, extend a respectable offer. So what do you think about, I mean, Goldschmidt coming to the Brew Crew there?
He's another guy coming off a down year. So it's, do you trade up from Hoskins on a down year to Goldschmidt on a down year? Hoskins, he's like hit or miss for me because he was out for an entire season with an injury. And then he comes back this year and he's gone. He's out for another, I believe it was like a month he was out with another injury. And then he comes back with no minor league time or anything like that, just gets thrown back in the lineup. I don't think he ever got his footing down. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Do you risk another year is the biggest question. Do you risk, because the upside. You saw him in Philly. He's got the postseason potential. Every time he came up to bat this year in the postseason, I was like, give me a moment. Give me a moment, Reese. I was like, I'll buy your jersey if you give me a moment. And he didn't give me a moment. So not so good on his end. But, I mean, do you risk another year of Reese Hoskins, or do you try and replace with a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, who might be, down in the market a little bit, or try and find another piece to fill in, or go with one of the rookies, right? You got Tyler Black coming up through the system right now. You have Jake Bowers is in there, but he's not an everyday first baseman kind of guy. He's got pop. We saw that, right? A solo shot there and a pinch hit role, but he doesn't have the average to go along with it. So then you're looking at averages. What guy's going to give you a respectable average with the home runs? Now, Reese, like you said, 26 home runs, and I believe he had like a 205 or some average. For your power hitters these days, I mean, guys don't care about average. You're looking at home runs. So if he plays a complete season, he's not out for that little stretch of time there, does he get to 30 home runs? Then are we talking about a Reese Hoskins in a different light because he hit 30 home runs? I don't know. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do in that first base spot, because you do have some youth behind them. You have the option with Reese there, and then you could go elsewhere and find a guy. So it's a wait and see now, right? We got until February to figure it out. And see what the Brewers are going to do. Like you said earlier, it doesn't seem like it's that far away, but at the same time, it's fresh in my mind that we just got just a stab in the heart from Jesse Winker and Pete Alonso and the boys from New York. So it's a rough time. It's a rough time in Milwaukee right now, but we move on. I'm hoping the Phillies can smack around them Mets coming up this weekend there, and it's all going to be good with the world. It'll all be good with the world. The Phillies will go on to sweep them. Jesse Winker will cry a little bit, and we'll move on with life, because the Mets don't like Jesse Winker. Brewer fans don't like Jesse Winker. I don't think Jesse Winker likes Jesse Winker, so that's okay. That's okay with us. That is definitely okay with us. So let's get to some college football. We got to get away from, I can't say that this is much better of a situation right now, but we're going to get to a situation that is still going on, right? Season ain't over yet. It might as well be, but the Wisconsin Badgers are going to be taking on them Purdue Boilermakers at Camp Randall coming up this weekend. The money line, I heard that there's some money on Purdue right now to win this one. I'm not liking that. They're not feeling too hot about this Wisconsin Badger team. And I mean, I want to say that they're, they should feel more confident with this Badger team. But right now, I'm not feeling confident with this Badger team. I mean, Purdue coming into this game, they're 1-3. They have some bad losses on the schedule. I mean, you're looking at Notre Dame blew them out 60-67. Oregon State beat them 38-21, and then Nebraska beat them 28-10. So they've been smacked around a little bit this season. They've been smacked around. The Badgers, though, they're coming off of a really tough loss to USC, a game that many Badger fans believe out there they should have had. Lost to Alabama before that. Won some games against some mid-major teams that they shouldn't have been that close, but they ended up being close. Right now, what I want to see out of this Badger team is come out, run the football, because this is a team right now that I don't believe in the pass game. It's not an air raid offense, so just get rid of the air raid offense mindset if you are the Badgers. Run the football, put it down Purdue's throat, play old style Wisconsin football, and just move the thing. That's what I'm looking for in this game. I'm not asking for anything fancy. I'm not asking for any crazy play calls. What I want to see is the Badgers just play old style Wisconsin football, do their thing. They have a decent offensive line that can get the job done. The Purdue defense isn't that great. You look at them on the season there, their defense, I was just going to look up their team stats here on the defensive side of the ball. But from what I know, teams that have ran the football, Notre Dame, elsewhere, have ran the football on this Purdue team, they don't have an answer. There's no answer on this team. So the Badgers, they got to come out and set the tone. They got to set the tone, running the football here, and that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. There ain't much to go off in this game. There ain't much to talk about going into this one. The Badgers are struggling. Purdue is struggling. I wish that this game should be a blowout. This shouldn't even be a game. But right now I'm sitting here and I'm telling you it could end up being a game. Braden Locke, if he's forced to throw, he's got to do his thing. He's got to. The offensive line, like I said, is playing well. Give him time in the pocket. Let him make good decisions. Let him do his thing. Let the playmakers make plays, right? It's pretty straightforward there. And it should be a cutthroat win, but I'm not confident. I am not confident in this game, Aaron. I mean, what do you think? Who we picking? Wisconsin, Purdue. Who do we got in this
one? They did. I mean, I wouldn't say they played Nebraska amazing. You know, they lost 28-10, but they were at I don't even know what they call Purdue. You know, where they play. I'm not sure, but you know, that's not an awful loss. I mean, 28-10. It's not good. It's not. You're not bragging about it, but they didn't get like run off the field, I guess you could say. I mean, really, you know, Wisconsin didn't get obliterated by USC. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but it wasn't like 56-14. That would be like, you know, why even show up type of deal. I mean, I gotta lean Wisconsin. I think I did see a lot of people are. I think taking Purdue because of the value. Like, you know, they're an underdog. It's not like they're that much worse than Wisconsin or Wisconsin's that much better. It feels like that type of deal. It's like, well, you know, it could go, but Wisconsin's still on the spreads picked by 13. So I expect. I don't know if they'll. I mean, I would expect them to be close to covering that, but I mean, you don't know. I don't know this Purdue team at all. I've seen some Wisconsin, you know, football this year, but Purdue. I mean, they win their first game and then drop the last 3 in a row. So, not good sledding right now for them. And I don't know. It's Camp Randall, like we always say, a hard place to play. Excuse me. Purdue's been kind of like for a couple years there, they start out the year really hot and then they fall apart. This year, they just don't seem to have much of anything. As far as, you know, just 1-3, you're pretty much smoked in the Big Ten. So, I mean, it really depends. You know, is Purdue going to come out and just try and okay, we need to win today? Like, you know, if they come out firing, anything can happen. But I would expect Wisconsin, like you said, pound the run. You know, if you're going to run like an air raid offense, you need a quarterback to do it. I don't think they have that right now, which is like you're trying to fit, you know, a square peg in a circle hole. Like that just doesn't. I've seen it time and time again with certain teams I watch, and it's like why do they continue to do something that's you can tell is not going to work? Like, so just go out there, you know, control the time of possession, like we always say. And I think Wisconsin wins this. I don't know if they cover 13 points, but like I said, I haven't seen Purdue play, so Purdue might actually be really, really bad. Like, so yeah, I definitely think Wisconsin wins this game in Camp Randall.
You know, looking at Purdue's stat wise, on the season. There's nothing impressive to talk about. There's nothing impressive to talk about with this Purdue team. And I mean, that's not to say that they couldn't find a way to beat Wisconsin. But you put some pressure on Hudson Card in this game. You slow down Devin Maccabee. I don't even know how to pronounce that, guys. I feel bad when I pronounce last name so bad. But you slow down Purdue's run game, make Hudson Card throw the football, and get some pass rush in there, you're sitting fine. You're sitting fine. You play defensively like you did against USC, Purdue is not going to move the football against you in this one. And you just need your offense, like we've been talking, run the football, take the time off the clock. This might be a dogfight, but if you win a dogfight 14-6 and you look like Iowa, that's fine. Like, we move on with life. We won a football game. We're okay. You know, you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. This is a team that you got to win this game. If you don't win this game, there is going to be a lot of questions, a lot of anger, a lot of, fired up Badger fans after this one, because this is a team where, watching that game against USC, you lose the lead. You thought you should have won that game. It started out as a blowout, ended up you lost it. It upsets you, right? But you move on with it simply because USC is a good football team. Purdue is not a good football team. You got to find a way to win this game. You got to find a way to handle your business at home, take care of it, and then move on with life. So we got to see Wisconsin. They got to come up big in this one. They got to come up big. The defense has got to do it. And Phil Longo, he's receiving a lot of heat right now, Phil Longo. So offensively, the Badgers, Phil Longo, they got to draw up a good game plan here, because otherwise there is going to be a lot of people calling for his job after this one against Purdue if this thing ends in a loss. We're hoping not, but that's going to be I believe, an 11 o'clock kickoff for that one on Saturday. I believe it's 11. Yes, it'll be at 11 tomorrow there on the Big Ten Network. So if you want to watch that game on the Big Ten Network, should be a good one for Wisconsin fans. But like I said, we'll wait and see on that one there. We did see in news for the Badgers, Chez Mellusi, star running back for Wisconsin, our leading rusher on the season, is stepping away from the program due to he's trying to get healthy. He's had problems staying healthy throughout his career in college, and now he's stepping away from the program there. This comes after the USC game, when we heard Braylon Allen come out on Twitter after the game, and he said, I'm gonna hold my tongue for now, but you all gonna see me on a podcast one day explaining exactly what was going on my last season there in Madison. So I don't want to read between the lines. I'm not gonna try and speculate here, but you got Braylon Allen saying that one week. Now Chez Mellusi steps away from the program. It doesn't mean he can't come back, but he steps away from the program. If you're a Badger fan right now, Aaron, you hear Braylon Allen come out with a tweet like that where he's telling you there was stuff going on that needs to be talked about. Braylon Allen, just tell us what's going on. Like, why can't you just tell us? Don't put a tweet out there like that and then not tell us what's going on. I know he's just trying to have some good fun with himself. I don't know with who, but trying to have some good fun. But we hear that. Now Chez Mellusi walks away from the program. Are you reading between the lines and saying there's something going on either with Phil Longo, with Luke Fickell? There's something going on behind the scenes that we need to be informed about and try and figure out, because right now it's leading to a disaster.
My question to that would be is, what is it, Mellusi you said, right? I don't
Chez Mellusi. He's the one who's walking away
right now. Right. Is he stepping away for injuries for the season, or is he never going to suit him up again for, because like if he steps away, and tries to get healthy and then he comes back next year, then maybe I buy that it's just a situation on his health. But if he's like, I'm going to step away, and then you see him go play for Illinois or something, then I think then you got to at least ask questions, right? Because you bring up Braylon Allen, and the fact that he's talking about, these things will be like whatever's being covered up will be brought to the limelight, basically. So then you start thinking, well, what is going on behind closed doors? What is the situation? Like, why are guys just quit? Like, why would he just quit on the team type of deal? If in fact that's what he's doing. So yeah, it's one of those, I think you at least got to raise an eyebrow to and think, well, is this more than just him stepping away for injuries? Like, is it or is it not? Because it sounds like where there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. I just don't know what exactly is going on.
So we know that they said he's just stepping away for now, is what they reported. What has been said on the Chez Mellusi situation is that from the Wisconsin State Journal, they said we want to let people know that Chez is going to be stepping away from the team for now and work on getting his body healthy. Does that mean he's coming back? He's a 6th-year guy. Like this, if he doesn't get a red shirt, if he doesn't get anything like that, this is it. This is his last season. So I don't know. It's odd. It was an odd. I'm not going to read between the lines. I'm not going to get too freaky about it there and say, oh man, like Braylon Allen says this. Now Chez goes away. Like it's got to be, they're not like they're tied together. No, I don't think it's tied together, but at the same time, it's definitely an interesting storyline just because of the timing. Just because of the timing, you're talking about last weekend to now, just a couple days ago, to those two things happening. And well, it's weird. It's definitely an odd situation between the two there. So definitely something to keep tabs on there. Maybe Chez Mellusi comes back at some point this season, but it's a wait and see. It's definitely a wait and see there. Let's get to the Packers and Rams here real quick before we jump into our NFL and college football picks for the week. So Packers, Rams, going to be a good one there. I think it's going to be a good one. I don't know. The Rams are kind of just about everybody on this Rams team is hurt at this point. Cooper Kupp's out. Nakua's out. I mean, Matthew Stafford's throwing to some Walmart bagger. Like, he doesn't even know who he's throwing to at this point there. But the Packers, they have injury problems of their own. I was just pulling up the injury report there. But we know for a fact, and well, not for a fact, but we know Romeo Doubs has been away from the team for a personal matter. Nobody knows truthfully what is going on. We're very uncertain on this situation right now. We are just hoping and praying for Romeo Doubs. Whatever is going on, family matters, he said. Whatever's going on in that situation, we're hoping and we're praying for a quick and, not quick, but that everything is okay. We're praying for everything to, settle down, or we don't know. We're speculating right now what's happening. We have no idea. So we're hoping Rome's okay, everything like that, and that he gets back. And it's a timely matter, right? We don't know what's going on. So when he gets back, we're ready for him. We're just going to wait for that time to come. So right now, Romeo Doubs is gone for a personal matter. And at this moment, he's doubtful for Sunday. We also know that Christian Watson will be out for Sunday. So you're missing two of your star wide receivers for this game against the Rams. I'm expecting Jair. He was limited on Friday, but I'm expecting him to play there. Kenny Clark was limited. I expect him to play. Edgerrin Cooper was limited on Friday. He's questionable, but hopefully back for Sunday there. Jordan Morgan was limited. Musgrave did not practice all week, so I'm going to say Musgrave will not be active for this one. Valentine looks like he was limited. Hopefully going to have him back there. Not going to have Devontae Wyatt. Probably not Watson. And most likely not Doubs there. So you're going to be without a couple of big playmakers there if you are the Packers. So Rams dealing with their injuries. Packers are dealing with their injuries heading into this one. But you look at the flip side. You look at the Rams right now. And this Rams team without Puka Nacua, without Cooper Kupp, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, you're missing two dynamic wide receivers there. Now you're throwing, I don't even know. I mean, Aaron, do you know who the second string wide receivers are for the Rams? I have no idea.
I couldn't name them. Yeah, I couldn't name.
Atwell. Here we go. Atwell is leading the team right now in receiving yards. So we know Atwell is one of their receivers there. But Matthew Stafford, this is a guy who, he's talented. I mean, you can't deny the talent. And he's going to find ways with whoever is out there, whoever he's throwing to make things happen. He doesn't care if it's Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. He doesn't care if it's Calvin Johnson and, Julio Jones. He doesn't care. Like, he's going to throw the football around if they're open. So the Packers in this one definitely have to do a good job in pass rush. They got to get to Stafford. They got to be able to cover up these receivers. They're not lesser receivers, but they're not known receivers yet, right? So they got something to prove out there. This Packers team defensively has got to find a way to put pressure on Matthew Stafford in this one. And, slow down the run game. That's going to be a big thing, too, to watch for in this one, is slowing down that run game of Kyren Williams there. he's not a big yard guy. I believe he's only got like his average is like 3 or something like that per carry. He's not a big yard guy, but he's got a knack for the end zone. I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns on the year already. He's got a way to get into the end zone. You got to be watching. You got to be able to control that run game. So my guys I'm watching in this one, Rashawn Gary, because I have not seen anything good out of Rashawn Gary this season yet. Kenny Clark and Quay Walker. I got to see a big game out of those 3 guys. Quay Walker in the run game. I want to see him be explosive. I want to see him being the guy that we thought he could be. Rashawn Gary, I got to see him get off the ball fast. I got to see him get off the ball fast. I got to see him get back there, beat a block, and get into the backfield. And, I mean, put some pressure on Stafford. Same with Kenny Clark in this one. Without Devontae Wyatt, he's going to have to come up big in this one. So, Aaron, I mean, what are you looking at? Rams, Packers in this game here? You might have seen a little bit of the Rams this year. I know you've watched a little bit of the Packers this year. What are you looking for in this one here for these 2 teams?
So I didn't hear is now. Do we know Jordan Love's playing? Like, is it
Jordan Love is a full go. Jordan Love was full practice this week, so he is fully ready to rock and roll.
Just want to make sure on that, yeah, because that's kind of been not forgotten about, but you know what I mean. We've kind of gotten used to Malik Willis just being in there for the time being. We know it's temporary, but like, okay, now when does Jordan Love, 100% get in there? So, I'm looking for, Jordan Love, them to get him in a rhythm early. Like you want to, and obviously no more Aaron Donald there with the Rams. Like you want to control their pass rush because you don't want Jordan Love getting, hit all around the field. Like that's the worst case scenario for a guy coming back from injury. You want to just get his feet underneath of him, things like that. So, I mean, I expect the Packers to handle them. I mean, we in the NFL, especially, we see crazier things, right? I'm not going to say the Rams are going to win, but like maybe they make it a game somehow. Like the NFL is so weird to me in some like matchups, right? It just you don't think this team has a shot. Oh, it's a close game. So, like I said, we've seen crazier things. I mean, on paper, the Packers should easily take care of them. I would say, especially without Puka Nuka and Cooper Kupp there. So, yeah, I mean, I just like you said, you always want to see your pass rush do well because that just leads to great things defensively. That's what the Eagles had 0 pass rush last week, and Baker Mayfield looked like Tom Brady in his prime. So it's one of those things like and Stafford's one of those guys. If he gets in a rhythm, like yes, he has to have guys to throw to, but I'm a big Stafford guy. I kind of always have been. Like he's just consistent. Like he turns the ball over here and there, but he's a gunslinger, and I can respect that. So yeah, I expect the Packers to kind of take care of business. Maybe run the rock a good bit too, and just kind of assert some dominance on this Rams team that like you said is just. I mean, they're probably the most banged up team in the NFL, at least at key positions. Like they are just depleted to say the least. And I thought Stafford honestly would maybe retire when the Rams won the Super Bowl, and he's still trucking. So I got to respect that. I mean, he's a journeyman at this point. Like he's been there, done that. So you can never count him out week to week, but Packers are the better team here, especially with the injuries. So I expect the Packers and you want to see Jordan Love get in a rhythm. I'm not saying he has to play lights out and, have an 80% completion day, but you want to see him just locked in and making good completions down the field.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. And yeah, getting Jordan Love in that rhythm on the offensive side is going to be huge. This is a game where you want to see it, because this Rams team, looking at them yards per game right now, given up per game, they're giving up about 385 yards per game. That is second worst in the NFL to the Colts. So this is a defense. I'm not going to say that they're not great, but don't underestimate them, right? That defensive front, even though Aaron Donald is now gone, I believe they have a rookie by the name of Jared Verse in there, and he's a big fella. He's a big fella, big rookie, can get after you. He's very tenacious, very talented in there. Then you got Byron Young. He's off the edge there. You got Colby Turner, and you got Braden Fisk. They got a decent group on the defensive line. So in this one, the Packers' offensive line has held up well. I thought, the true test was going to be the Vikings because that Vikings team, they throw just about everything at you. I mean, they're different packages, showing stuff, pulling out. They're all over the place. And this Packers offensive line held true. And, Jordan Love, he had some plays where he was underneath of a little bit of pressure. I'm not going to say that the Vikings didn't get there a couple times. But the offensive line for Green Bay, I thought, played well in that game. So, again, I'm looking at the offensive line again, and I'm saying, hey, give Jordan Love time, let him do his thing back there, open up some holes for Josh Jacobs in this run game there, and make things happen. And that is going to be a big key for me too, is watching that offensive line for Green Bay, because there are, like I said, some talented guys on that defensive front for this Rams team. I want to see what Matt LaFleur draws up in this one. No Dobbs, no Watson. It's going to be big in this one. Wicks and Reed, right? You just went from having Dobbs and Watson being the 1-2 punch. Reed is in there. I think Reed is actually the one. But Reed and Wicks are now your 1-2 punch in there. You got Bo Melton. You got other pieces in there, right? But it's going to be big to see what Wicks can do in this game, because now he is that big, deep threat. He is your Romeo Dobbs in this game. They've been trying to utilize him a little bit more in the explosive play department there, and they're not afraid to go to him in pressure situations, or if he drops a pass. I know Aaron Rodgers would never go back to him, but they're not afraid to go back to him there. So you got to love that. Reed and Watson will be big focal points in the Packers pass game in this one, because this Rams team, they give up about 219 yards per game through the air. So the secondary for the Rams definitely going to be a focal point in this one. Getting some of these guys like Reed, Wicks, even a guy like Tucker Kraft going in this game, getting, like you said, Jordan Love last game, we narrowed it down to there was a lot of rust, right? Now we're going to see, is the rust off? Did we spray a little bit of WD-40 on there? Rust is gone. We're good to go. Like, that's something that we're keying in on in this one, is seeing what this Packers offense does. Not against a superb defense, but against could do some things defense there, and a very good head coach there in Sean McVay, because McVay is still a very good coach at the end of the day. So it's going to be something to see what the Packers can draw up defensively against him there. Hafley, now, I mean, I thought Hafley's been doing a good job with this Green Bay defense, but seeing what he does against McVay, because he's got a very good mind. I don't know, Aaron, like, are you a fan of Sean McVay? I think he's got some smarts to him. He's definitely got some smarts to him. He definitely can draw up a good play, and he finds a way to make this Rams team keep on trucking, even when, I mean, basically everybody's out due to injury.
Yeah, McVay does kind of get some criticism sometimes, but I mean, I think he's definitely above average. I think I would take Sean McVay over quite a many coaches in the league. So yeah, and it seems like this Rams team, even like not excluding, I mean, Cooper Kupp, that guy, he's another like made of paper mache at this point. Like he's out every other week, or he's out for half the year. Like I'm not trying to, completely trash the guy, but it just seems like he's one of those guys where he's, ever since that Super Bowl year, it seems like he's been injured, like in some form or fashion. So like to not have your star players, and like, Stafford goes out for a while there, injury, like they've battled a ton of injuries over the years, and he's made them, they've kind of treaded water. So, I mean, you gotta respect that. I'll be curious to see, like, will McVay stay there long term? Like, does he? Because there were even rumors, like, a couple of years ago, he would just leave and be a broadcaster because he got the Super Bowl, and then like he just, he's still. I mean, he's a young guy. He's not even that much older than we are, really. Like 10 years or so. So he's like one of the youngest, if not the youngest, head coach in the league, or something like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how many years does Stafford have left? How many years does McVay? But yeah, I think he's a great mind. Like you say, they have creative, you'll see a lot of different looks from them, especially off, like he's an offensive mind. So you'll see them do just kind of like funky things, which I personally do like. I don't like I've seen vanilla offenses like my entire life, and it's torture after a while. So I can appreciate, like a Sean McVay. And like I said, they seem to always have the injury bug, and certain teams have that. It just seems like certain teams cannot stay healthy no matter what, and the Rams seem to be like one of those teams.
And that's the worst. Cooper Kupp, you mentioned him there. He's kind of been injured, and nobody knew about him. I mean, you didn't really think about Cooper Kupp until that Super Bowl season, when all of a sudden he just bursted onto the scene, and he was this big, well-known. I mean, he carried my fantasy team that season. I got him in like the sixth round. Nobody knew who this guy was. I got him in like sixth round, and he was the best receiver that year. And it was like, I just knew that. Like, it was off the top of my head. I was like, I just knew this guy was going to do good. Like, nobody had a clue. Nobody had a clue. He just burst onto the scene. Yeah, it does suck. I mean, it sucks to see a team be so injury riddled, because the Rams, when they're healthy, when that offense is healthy with Sean McVay calling the offense, that's fun. That's a fun team to watch. It's like Matt LaFleur calling a healthy Packers offense. It's fun football. Even a guy like Mike McDaniel's getting a lot of hate down there in Miami, but he doesn't have Tua. He doesn't even know what he has at quarterback right now. He's just kind of throwing things together. Yes, they're a dumpster fire, but I don't think he's a terrible coach. I just don't think he's got anything to work with right now. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That definitely is an interesting topic is head coaches in football because man, oh man, there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good minds out there, and then there's a lot of guys where it's like, yeah, he could go away and it'd be fine. He could go away, it definitely could be fine. And we'll move on with that. But Rams on the flip side of that, any Ram fans listening out there, I just wanted to give keys to the game for the Rams there. I mean, on the flip side, basically of everything we talked about, make Jordan Love uncomfortable in that pocket, make him have to be mobile. You're talking about a guy in Jordan Love who is coming back off of an MCL injury there. He doesn't want to move around that much. Make him be mobile in this game. Make him try to get out of the pocket and make throws. Force Green Bay to make field goals. And this is for the Packers too. Narvison has to be good. If they force you out, I mean, if it's a 3-and-out or get off the field on third down, Narvison has got to find a way to make his field goals in this one because we know he has struggled kicking lately. So for the Rams, they want to make the Packers try to bang home a 30-some yarder because right now that is a struggle for this Green Bay Packer team. Stop the Packers' rushing attack. Simple as that. Stopping their rushing attack is going to be big for the Rams in this one. Like we talked about on the flip side for Green Bay, we want to see Green Bay and the offensive line open up holes. This Rams team, they got to be able to slow down the rushing attack for Green Bay and make them one-dimensional and then keep everything in front of them. The Rams have been the worst, I believe. They've given up the most touchdowns on 20-plus yard plays on the season so far. So that's a stat that you want to change in this one. Their secondary's got to be better in that department there. They got to find a way to keep this Packers wide receiver core in front of them in this one, and I just don't see it happening. I see the Packers winning this one. I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout, but I do believe the Packers will win this one. I'm going to predict probably in the 31-14 range. I'm going to give a 31-14 final score there. Aaron, what are you thinking? Final score, Packers and Rams.
I'd say 38-28.
Oh,
Packers.
close game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the spread is right now. What's the spread?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to look at because it's usually pretty.
They're giving them 3.
I almost said 38-31. Like I was kind of feeling 38-31, like a touchdown. What is that? Let me see. Because I misspoke. I'll be honest with you, Trajan. When the Eagles were getting obliterated, I kind of tuned the NFL out for a week. I was like, I had enough of this. I'm just sick and tired of all of it right now. So I tuned all the games. I didn't realize Love did play last week, so it's not like his first game coming back. But like we were talking about the keys of the game, just still getting them in a rhythm. Like your second week back, you're still kind of getting a feel for everything, and then like an injury, that type of thing. So. Playing at what is it, SoFi? I mean, I know whether to make it an issue or anything like that. I still think I think the Packers put up a good amount of points. And like you said, they kept Jordan Love upright against the Vikings defense that can really get after you, at least so far this year. So I expect Jordan Love to have a less. I saw he had 3 picks last week. I expect him to have less turnovers this week. I would hope. You don't want to see that. Back-to-back weeks or anything like that. So I do kind of just trust Stafford to show up. That's why I give them at least 28, 31 points. But I mean, I expect it to kind of be a shootout of some sorts. I mean, maybe not. Maybe the Packers with the depleted receiving core that does kind of take a back seat because of Stafford throwing to guys that might not get open all that much. So. We'll see, but I would be shocked if like the Packers lose. Like this would be a game if they lose, I'll be like that doesn't make sense. We see it almost every week in the NFL. We see it, but it wouldn't make sense to me if they lost this game.
I just can't believe the spread is 3. Like that kind of baffled me. I was not expecting 3, maybe 7, but 3.
7 feels.
Wow, that's close. That's close there. So let's get into our NFL picks. So we've done this before, Aaron. We got away from it a little bit there. This is the whipped cream challenge, we call it, the whipped cream challenge. Loser of this takes whipped cream to the face the next week. So what the deal is, you pick 3 games. Each of us will pick a game. We'll pick the winner of that game, And then we go 3-2-1 confidence level on that game. You win the points if you win that game. Losers won. Last time, I believe we tied. I won the college football. You won the NFL, so we ended up tying on the whole thing. But we're hoping for a different outcome this week because we got to get somebody to get the whipped cream to the face in this one. So, Aaron, I'll let you go first. NFL this weekend. Which game you got? Who are you picking in that game?
Yeah, a lot of a lot of interesting matchups this week, in my opinion. A lot of division games, like you see a lot of that. Couple that raised my eyebrow, like Ravens Bengals. Bengals looking for their first win still, which is not great. Not great. Week 5 and you're 0-4 is not feeling too good. Another team looking for their first win, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I've continuously picked. I've been like bullish on them the last couple of years, and it's done me nothing but bad things. But I am going to pick them here. I think because Richardson being half banged up, he's questionable for this week. I think Joe Flacco stepped in for a little.
Yeah, Joe
So
Flacco is running the show again.
I can't hate that too much, but you already said how the Colts defense gives up the most yards through the air. So I mean, if Trevor Lawrence is ever going to get on track this season, you would think it would be this week. I mean, I know it's division, which it seems like that division specifically plays each other really tough almost every game. But I look for the Jaguars to at least pick up their first win on the season. Colts are not a bad team. I'm actually surprised they're 2-2. Sometimes I feel like they could be like a 3-1 type of squad. We'll see how they kind of shake out. They might be, around that 500 level. But I mean, if the Jags dropped 0-5, you're really talking about firing Doug Peterson at that point, because we're in year 3 or something like that. They get deep in the playoffs against the Chiefs, or maybe divisional round, but still, they look like they were ascending, and now they're falling to the wayside. So Jags at home, I do take to win. And I don't know, they might be favored, they might not. It's probably a coin flip type of deal.
Jacksonville's favorite. They got the spread.
Okay.
3. The spread is 3. There's a lot of spreads of 3 going into this weekend, so we just got to keep that in mind when we're picking these games right now. I'll take no, I don't want that one. Take the Chiefs and the Saints. That's a tough one. Tell you who's going to win in prime time. Is that on Sunday? No, it's on Monday. Okay.
Prime time. Yeah.
Give me the Commanders over the Browns. Give me the Commanders over the Browns. Jaden Daniels is playing like he was the best quarterback in that draft. So give me Jaden Daniels to run it against Deshaun Watson, because that is a mess in Cleveland right now. They should have did they have Joe Flacco? That's who led them last year. They should have kept Joe Flacco.
I mean, playing better than Deshaun for a lot less money. Lot less money. I like that. I did look at that, and I considered it. So, yeah, I like that pick. It kind of does get a little bit tough here. I mean,
there's some dicey games. There's some
dicey, yeah. It seems like there's always dicey games. Unfortunately, I think another division game, I do think the 49ers take the Cardinals out. That might be a close one. That spread's probably close too. Maybe not.
7.5. They're giving the 49ers 7.5.
The Cardinals have been I know the record's not going to show it, but I don't know. I'm not going to say they're good by any, they're not good, but they play hard. I will say that. It seems like they really give it 110. They're just one of those teams that runs around with their hair on fire. I'm surprised with Jonathan Gannon being there that's the case, but yeah, they're on the season 1-3. I mean, they got obliterated last week by the Commanders. Yeah, I just they lose a close one to Detroit. They beat the Rams. They lose a close one to the Bills. So they've been competitive, but I still think the 49ers being 2-2, they want to get on track. In San Fran, I think the 49ers probably pull that off.
49ers over the Cardinals. I'll take a tough one right with you. I'm going to take not the Seahawks and the Giants. I don't think that should be a game. Aaron Rodgers is going to lose in London to the Vikings. I got the Vikings over the Jets. That could go both ways. I really thought it was going to be a blowout, but the more I think about it, the Vikings defense with the craptastic offensive line that the Jets have it's just going to be Aaron Rodgers running for his life. So I'm going to take the Vikings over the Jets in London for that 8:30 game.
Yeah, I could see that. I think, they'll have a tough day protecting him, like you said. I think that will be the key. I think there's a couple like that. I don't want to give it away, but I could go an easier route. But what's the fun in that? So I'll tell you after you, because if you don't bring it up, then I will. But I'm gonna go Pittsburgh over Dallas in Pittsburgh on Sunday night. I think it just seems like the Steelers. I mean, really, I'm used to the Steelers under Big Ben. That was like, a lot of my friends are Steelers. Like, I've been around the Steelers, so I know kind of when they tend to win, when they tend to lose. It's kind of something to gauge under the Big Ben era. But now it's obviously since he's been gone, Pickett. Now you got Justin Fields. I still think the Steelers' defense has been playing really well. I think they get after Dak. They don't let CD go absolutely crazy on them. And I think they've kind of every game they've won this year was not like a barn burner. Like, they're just like Fields is doing enough to win, but he's kind of like game managing a little bit. So I look for more of the same here. I think, like I said, in Pittsburgh, that's a tough place to play. It's the Cowboys coming all the way up. I think the Cowboys drop this one, and I think it is close. It's prime time. It's going to be close. So, yeah, I take Pittsburgh over Dallas, and I hope that's the case too. So
I like that. There, Justin Fields has played well. Justin Fields has played very, very good since going to Pittsburgh. There, Bears and Panthers. Bears and Panthers is the one I'm looking at. I want to say that the Bears should win this game. I want to say that they should win this game. But did Carolina find something? Did Andy Dalton find something with them Carolina Panthers? That is going to be the question going into this one. And I don't want to say that the Panthers win this game. I don't want to say the Panthers win. That's tough. Give me a wild one. Give me the Panthers over the Bears. Give me the Panthers over the Bears at Soldier Field. The Bear fans will be crying after that one. They won't know what to do with themselves when Andy Dalton, hair on fire, walks in that building and just lights them on fire. I cannot wait to see that. Give me the Panthers over the Bears. Chicago's favored by 4. I don't care. Panthers by 1 million. Give it to me. I like that one there. So, oh yeah. So, 3-2-1, Aaron. Your confidence level. Jags over the Colts, 49ers over the Cardinals, and Steelers over Dallas. Where's your confidence sitting on each one of those matchups?
I'll take 3 on the 49ers.
3 on the 49ers.
I'll take 2 on – man, every time I want to say Jacksonville, they bite. Every time they bite me. They can't go 0-5, right? That just doesn't feel right. I'll go – man, I trust the Steelers more, though. Yeah, I'll say 2 on the Steelers. Screw it. 2 on the Steelers. They're been there, done that. They're better franchise. So just consistency. I trust. But and then obviously 1 on the Jags. I thought you were gonna go Seahawks. I almost went Seahawks over Giants. Like that one.
I thought about it, but it's too easy. That was too easy.
But that would be the type of game where like the Giants would win. Like no one expects them to go all the way out to the West Coast. Like, but that's a really tough. Like I said Pittsburgh's a tough place to play. Seattle's like top 3, top 5, tough place to play. So yeah, that probably will be too much for them. But like I said, we've seen crazier things. It's just if they don't win that, they're in real like this is. I don't know if you say must win already, but you kind of have to think that way if you're sitting there at 1-3.
Yep. No, yeah, definitely. And Geno Smith's got 4 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions on the year. So if the turnover bug keeps biting, that defense can't stop Daniel Jones and this explosive Giants offense, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. So I'm gonna take 1 on my Panthers over Bears because I'm not fully confident on that one. I'm going to take 3 on the Commanders over the Browns, and I'm going to take 2 on the Vikings over the Jets. Just because I feel like the Jets and Vikings could shiver. The Panthers, Bears, I'm not confident on. I just want to see Andy Dalton light them up. But the the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, I love it. I love it. If they win that East, I know your Philadelphia Eagles in there. I don't want to bash on the Eagles right now. But if they win that East, I mean, wow, that'd be crazy. That'd be craziness happening over there. So, I mean, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Football is in full swing. We got to get over to college football, though. We got to talk about our college football picks in the same sense. We'll keep it top 25. There's not a lot of great matchups happening this weekend, but we'll keep it top 25. We got the games happening tonight yet, and then we have the games happening on Saturday. So we can pick from any of those. You started with the NFL. I'll pick a crazy one to start us out here in college football. Let's see. Not a lot of craziness going to be happening. Give me. Wow, there ain't much happening. There ain't much happening.
No, I'd say if you want to venture out of the top, if it's a Big Ten or like like the Wisconsin Purdue games on the table for me. You know what I mean? Like,
let's go Big Ten. Let's just go Big Ten. We'll do our Big Ten college football weekend pick because we're both Big Ten fans there, so we'll stick in there. Okay, I'm gonna go. Give me a bold one. I'm gonna take a bold one here. Washington over Michigan. Give me Washington over Michigan that's got to be my bold pick. I got to have a bold pick in there. Washington over Michigan.
Wow. We'll see, right? Oh, well, wait. Let's get back on the schedule here. I've scrolled out of it. Washington. Where are we at here? I just want to know. Oh, it's at Washington. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
They got the spread right now. They're giving them the spread. Rodgers is throwing for 10 touchdowns on the year for Washington already. So I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident in that pick.
Yeah, I don't hate that by any means. I actually hope it happens too. I can't go as bold as this. Like I watched Minnesota. Who was it? Minnesota, Maryland. I think I was watching. Minnesota's not bad. They're not bad. They're never like horrible. It's just they're never like upper echelon either. So, man, who else we got here? Rutgers, Nebraska. I can't go Rutgers there. I'll take. I was gonna take. I mean, maybe this is a cop out, but I'll take your Badgers. I think they do win that game. I won't make that my 3-star play just because it's like a little not unfair, but there's some these matchups. There is some discrepancies. Like Penn State, UCLA. Penn State's favored by 28.5. Like that shouldn't be a game we should pick. I mean, if they find a way to lose that game, that'll be pathetic. But I still think that's a close enough. 13. You never know. I mean, Wisconsin hasn't been able to light the world on fire, but I still think they're significantly better than Purdue. So I think it's a fair play. Whatever, maybe take the spread if you're trying to win some cash. But I think Wisconsin wins that.
Okay, Badgers over Purdue. I'm gonna take. Give me Indiana to go to 6-0. This Indiana team, man, they might find their way if the rest of the schedule beats themselves up this season. They have to play Michigan and Ohio State yet. But if they pull off a win against Michigan, they lose to Ohio State, they win the rest of their schedule, they could find their way into the Big Ten championship, and then they find their way into the college football playoff. That'd be crazy. That'd be craziness on top of crazy for a team like Indiana, who you don't think football when you think Indiana. Give me Indiana to go to 6-0. They're going to beat up on Northwestern in this one.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't. Excuse me. I don't know if they can beat. I know Michigan's not great, but I think the Michigan defense would eat them alive just because they've eaten pretty much everybody. Can they score points? That's the thing.
Yep.
But no, I mean it's a good story, right? Yeah, I always crapped on Indiana football like forever. Indiana basketball, different story, but Indiana football has not been great for a while, if ever. I don't know if ever. Maybe I'm not sure, but see, I don't want to take I feel like the rest of them are cop outs.
They are.
But you got to take what you got to take what's there. So give me, man, Minnesota beating USC would be cool. It would be. I mean, it just doesn't feel like it was going to happen, but I guess give me USC over Minnesota.
USC over Minnesota. You got the Sun Belt. Can you get the Sun Belt schedule pulled up?
Yeah.
Let's go with the Sun. We'll go third pick will come out of the Sun Belt because the rest of them, like you said, they're cop outs in the Big Ten. Let's go. Third pick comes out of the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah, next week for the big. If we do this with the Big Ten again, I think next week will be tougher. So that we might be able to go toe for toe with that. So Sun Belt. Here we go.
I got a good one. Here. James Madison at 4-0, taking on UL Monroe, who is 3-1. They're 1-0 in the Sun Belt right now. Now the spread is for James Madison they're at 16. They're favored by 16. But talking about 3-1 UL Monroe team there coming in there to take on, and it's in Monroe. So you're gonna have a good battle there. I'm gonna take James Madison to win that game in a battle of the top teams in the Sun Belt. I'm gonna take James Madison.
Solid. Let's see. Appalachian State Marshall. You're talking about 2-2 teams. Coastal Carolina, Old Dominion. I guess that's kind of a cop out. 3-1 versus 1-3.
Not a big spread there, though. Not a big spread.
Right. Can you get the spread for the Southern Miss game because they're 1-3 but at home against 3-1 Louisiana Lafayette.
Favoring Louisiana by 17. The spread is at 17.
I probably can't make that. That's probably too much.
I don't know. I took James Madison at 16. I mean, that Coastal Carolina game's close.
Yeah, give me Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina baseball is very good and love their team colors. So just for those reasons alone, give me Coastal Carolina. Can't hate on that school at all.
Cannot hate on the Chanticleers. That's for darn sure. You cannot hate on it.
Great name too.
3-1 ball club right there. Coastal Carolina over Old Dominion. All right, where's our confidence sitting? You got Badgers over Purdue, USC over Minnesota, and you got Coastal Carolina over Old Dominion. Where's the confidence level?
Give me USC on the 3-star play.
USC on the 3-star.
Badgers 2-star.
We got 1 for that Coastal Carolina team. The Chanticleers getting 1 point from Aaron there. I would take Washington over Michigan as a 1. It has to be a 1. It's a bold upset. I'm taking a 1. Indiana over Northwestern is going to be my 2. And then James Madison taking on UL Monroe on the road. I'm giving them 3. Wow. They are playing fantastic this season. I'm giving them 3 on the road there. I just have to. So, Aaron, anything else we got? Anything else before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. I mean, I know you said you don't have a rooting interest in, like, outside of this Phillies-Mets series, you want the Mets kicked out. But are you? You know what? I think I already know. I think you're leaning. You want Royals to go all the way. I have a feeling in your back of your mind, you're a closet, not a Royals fan, but an enthusiast of the team. I'll put it like you're a.
I'm an enthusiast of Bobby Witt because I feel like in any other season without Shohei and Aaron Judge, he's an MVP. I'm interested in the Tigers. I really am. Okay. After watching them against the Astros, if they find a way to beat the Guardians,
do they? That's where.
I don't know. I said it the other day. I said, they were the hottest team coming into the playoffs. If the Astros got a terrible draw for Game 1. They got a terrible draw. Because you had to face a Tigers team who was blaring into there. Like, they were, all cylinders were firing coming into that series. Does it cool off? Do they finally come back down to earth? Because if we're talking about the Brewers earlier, and we said this was a team who did things that, nobody expected. This wasn't what they expected the Brewers to do. Nobody expected the Tigers to be here. Nobody in August said this Tigers team is going to go into the playoffs. And first off, say that. They're going to go into the playoffs. Nobody would have thought that. Nobody would have thought that they were going to go into a series against the Astros in Houston and win 2 games in a row. Nobody would have said that. And now you're talking about a Tigers team taking on the Guardians, who this season, I mean, they played each other a lot. They know each other. Do they cool off? That's going to be the biggest thing. Do they finally come down to earth and play like the Tigers? I don't know. Man. That Tigers team is firing all cylinders. I would love it I would honestly love it if it was Tigers Royals to go to the World Series. I would love it. I don't know if baseball would love it. Yankee fans definitely won't love it, but I'd be okay with it. I 110% would be okay with it. And then if it was Phillies Padres on the other side, I'm good with that too. I don't want to see the Dodgers. I don't want to see the Dodgers. I really don't want to see the Mets. I'd be okay with the Phillies, Padres, NLCS, and a Tigers, Royals, or even the Guardians. I'd be okay if the Guardians moved on. I just don't want to see Yankees and Dodgers. I don't want to see it. I really don't. But I mean, I don't know, where are you at? Like, who do you want to see? I mean, you
You
want
know,
to see
obviously,
the Phillies, of course, but
yeah, Philly, and I'm like the most sacrilegious fan on the Mets. Like I've never had a hatred towards them. Like I should. It makes no sense. I should hate the Mets. I just don't. I don't like they've never done enough things to make me angry, and
they
they're
did it.
not in the limelight
They
enough.
did it to me. You got to be
Then
pissed
yeah,
off. They did it to me.
yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. But like every Philly fan hates them. I just don't. I don't know. I don't have that. Um, I kind of hate the Braves more. I kind of hate the Braves more. Like they're annoying. They never go away. So the Mets are kind of like the Cowboys. They just kind of fall to the wayside. Like they're gonna fall apart. It's just when. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, if let's just say the Phillies get knocked out, which I mean we've seen it happen every year. They have yet to get over the hump since 2009 or 2008. I'm sorry, the Yankees won in 09. Very next year, but. Yeah, I love Detroit's story. I love an underdog team. Like like I'll always root for an underdog team if they're not playing my team. But yeah, I would love to see Detroit. I'm not a big, like I told you, I have reasons why I don't like Kansas City, but I don't. I hope Kansas City beats the Yankees. Kind of. I kind of want to see the Yankees go to the ALCS and lose again, because then they're like right on the edge again. Like you get so close again. Like you're
But
every
what
year
if
you're.
they go? What if they go to the World Series? What if
Oh,
they find a way? Then you're going to be sitting here like, I wish Bobby Witt would have hit that home run when
well,
I
yeah,
was
of course,
rooting
yeah, of course.
against
Yeah, I
the
mean, even if
A's.
they go and they lose, if they go and lose, that's fine. Even that's fine. Like, I mean, I don't want to see them because you're gonna not. That's all you're gonna hear about Yankees. It doesn't matter who is in the NL. The Yankees will take precedent, like they always do. But I, I still don't trust this. I see that's the battle of chokers in the NL with the Padres and the Dodgers. Like I don't. The Dodgers have that COVID World Series, which I don't truly give them a ton of credit. I just don't. It was a 60 game season. It was weird. Like I don't know. That was just. I know they can't control that, but I don't. I don't 100% give them like a legit title for that. I don't know. I mean, I guess I should, but it's like it just doesn't feel right. But the Padres, I mean, we've seen the Padres. This is what they just don't get there. So that's an interesting. I still think the Dodgers probably handle them, even though you can make the argument the Padres are the better team right now. Like they've just been playing good. Um, so yeah, outside of the Phillies, I would love to see the Tigers make it happen in the AL, but I worry that the Guardians go let's say the Guardians knock out the Tigers. That's like my gut feel on that series. Just I think Cleveland's having a spectacular year too. Um, so I think and if it goes, I just don't see the Royals beating I just don't think they have enough. I don't think they have like if you let Judge or Soto like start really getting hot and Stan's a different animal in the playoffs. Like for whatever reason, he can be horrible in the right. It's kind of like Judge doesn't do that much in the playoffs, and then does amazing in the regular season. Stanton doesn't do much in the regular season, does everything in the playoffs. So yeah, I think it's gonna be Yankees Guardians, and that scares me. I think the Yankees probably beat like without Houston. As soon as Houston went out, I was like, that's not good because that gives the Yankees more of a clear path than they've had in years, and that's my number one fear. That's my number one fear is that they just not saying that you're going to play easy teams. Obviously, these are playoff teams, but it's Houston is their kryptonite. Like Houston knows how to beat them. They've done it. They have confidence in doing it. Like Cleveland or Kansas City stepping into Yankee Stadium is a different place in October. It is. So I don't know. I if the Phillies get knocked out, there's really like I guess Cleveland because I like I said I think the Tigers will eventually not be able to do it, but maybe they're the Diamondbacks of this year. We'll see.
The one series that I think is going to be the best series out of all four of them is going to be the Padres and Dodgers. I got that feeling. Like, if there's going to be a series where I am confident that that second team could beat, the higher seed, you have your 1 seeds there, you have your 2 seeds. The one team that I'm most confident is the Padres. I mean, they showed it to me in that Braves series. That offense can get hot. They can get cooking. The pitching staff can do just enough to carry. I look at the Phillies and Mets. I don't think the Mets are that good. I look at the pitching staff. Jose Quintana pitched very well against the Brewers. I don't want to take away from what they did against the Brewers because they pitched well. They did their thing. But if the Phillies find a way to get into that Mets bullpen, it's game over. It's game over. They have Edwin Diaz. Buto's in there. I don't even know who that guy is. He just randomly got thrown in there. And then they have a couple other pieces in there, but weren't impressive. Guardians, Tigers, it's going to come down to Tigers team stay hot. It's going to be a biggest question there. Guardians have the pitching. They have the bats. We're going to see there. And then Royals, Yankees. The Yankees just have a lot. They have a lot of firepower to throw at you. That's the series. That's the series there for me, the Padres and Dodgers, where I have the most confident feeling that if one of these was going to go 7, it would be that one. Like, that's the series that I'm like, those teams know each other. They know how to pitch to each other. They know how to hit each other. I'm looking at that one and I'm saying that's going to be your best series out of those 4. I don't know where are you at? What's going to be the best series out of those 4 series right there?
I just don't know how Detroit can hang with, like, I want to say that's the best. That could be the best. Like, that has the potential to be. It's just Cleveland was like, for a while there, we were talking Cleveland has the best record in baseball. I know they didn't finish that way, but like unless they completely fall on their face, that's a solid team. Not that the Tigers aren't, but the Tigers are kind of like the Cinderella compared to like Cleveland's, like the Brewers ran their division, Cleveland's ran their division. So it feels like they have the upper hand. Now, I don't know. I don't want to get too long-winded on this, but I'll throw it back to you. Like, okay, the Mets are coming into Philly after that crazy, like what they had today off, basically after the Brewers series, and the Tigers, have a little bit of time off, but like these teams, like the Phillies, right? The Yankees, those are the number one, or the buys, the Dodgers, not even the Dodgers. Phillies, Yankees, like teams that haven't played in a little bit. Like, do you feel that the rest is a good, like, because sometimes I will feel like that's not the best. Like, okay, yes, you don't want to in a wild card series, you want to win like how the Royals did it to the Orioles. That's what you want to do. You want to just get out of there 2 games. You don't have to play the third one. At least you're not, just dragging. Like the Mets might be yeah, they're going to be amped. It's game 1 there tomorrow in Philly, a hostile environment, but is it a massive advantage to have that, the time off as being, the Phillies and the Yankees, or is it like you just played, you're in a rhythm, you're winning, like the Mets, they're on cloud 9 because they came back, but are you fatigued? Like who really has that? Is there, and these guys are professional, they know how to handle it, but you're still human, right? Like you're the Mets, you fly into Philly probably last night after the Brewers series, you kind of relax, maybe, just take it easy today in Philly. But you were up, and you're in the Midwest just, 24 hours ago. So
I can see it from both sides. I honestly have always said it goes player by player. I really do. Some players benefit from it. When you're trying to get a guy healthy, when, your pitcher's been banged up or whatever it is, like it goes player by player, position by position. Your bullpen gets rest, but yet they're not seeing real batters. It's really a rhythm thing for me. And that's where I look at these 4 series here and I think, okay, which team do I believe it can get the hottest the fastest and avoid, I look at the Padres and Dodgers and I look at the Padres offense and I'm like Jackson Merrill and they got Manny Machado in there. They got all these weapons on the offensive side, right? And then I look at the Dodgers and I'm like, okay, they can get hot fast. I'm not saying they can't, but I look at the Phillies and Mets. And yes, the Mets just came off a series against the Brewers, but you look at game 3 of that series. Up until the 9th inning, there had been 2 hits in the game, both by Francisco Lindor. So you look at the Mets coming into there; they're not hot. That lineup isn't hot coming into that series against the Phillies, and the Phillies are going to be throwing out. I'm assuming Zach Wheeler, as my assumption is going to be Zach Wheeler. So you're going to be facing one of the best pitchers in the game, if not the best pitcher in the game. And then you look at the Guardians and the Tigers. Now, that's one where the offense might carry over because that Tigers offense is on fire. They've been on fire. But you look at the Guardians. Can they stave that off? I think they have the pitching to do it. Then you look at the Royals and the Yankees there. The Yankees, I would assume Garrett Cole's going to go. I don't know who the game one starter is going to be.
As long as he's healthy, yeah. He always gets the nod if he because I heard something about injury injury problems.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Yep, it's going to be Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is going to start against Michael Wacha in that one. I mean, Garrett Cole is another guy who you got to look at starters. You got to look at who's going to be able to hold off that opposing team coming into it if they're hot or not. And I look at the Dodgers, Padres. Who is it going to be? I have not been sold on Yamamoto all season long. Have not been sold on him. So I look at that Padres team and I'm like, who can jump on a starting pitcher in game one? It really feels like the Padres are that team, if not the Tigers. But Tanner Beebe has thrown well for the Guardians this year. Zach Wheeler's thrown well for the Phillies, and Garrett Cole, you hope that he can throw well if you're a Yankee fan. I don't care personally. But I look at that Padres-Dodgers series, and I'm like, that's a team that can jump on it. So I think it benefits certain positions, certain players. It's definitely a good thing at times. But also for me, it's one of those things where, I mean, the great Robin Yount said when they asked him if he wanted the Brewers to get a bye or not, he's like, nope. He said, I want him to keep on playing. He's like, I want him to play through this because sometimes it does hurt you to take that rest. So, I mean, it's a wait and see, right? We find out year after year if the rest hurt him or if it didn't and if they get hot going into the series. So maybe Shohei Ohtani has a bad series against the Padres. I don't know. We're going to find out. It should be a good one. It should be definitely. I'm not going to tune in anymore because I hate baseball again. It's just what I have to do until February of next year. I'm going to hate baseball. That's just what I have to do.
No World Series even?
If it's the Yankees and Dodgers, I will not even let my TV tell me that it's on. I won't even let it tell me. I'm going to cancel whatever channel it's on. I'm going to cancel it for that week.
Fair enough.
If it's Tigers and like Padres or Phillies, or if it's anybody but the Yankees and Dodgers, I'll probably tune in. I'm not going to be as like prone. Like I'm not going to be like I gotta watch this. I'm going to be like I could do other things right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing too. Like if it's Dodgers and somebody from the whoever, or if it's Yankees and whoever, at least you have that team to root against. Like that's kind of fun. Yeah. So, no, I'm with you. If it's Dodgers Yankees, it's like that's the worst of the worst. Like that's the nightmare. And like honestly, if it was, I mean, obviously I don't want to see the Phillies lose, but like I'll put it to you this way: if the Mets beat the Phillies somehow, some way, like it happens, right? And it's like baseball would literally they did meet I think in the 90s or the 80s, but if it was Yankees Mets, that would be cool just because it's the Subway Series.
Oh man, you know what? We did you guys dirty. We did. History, if it's going to repeat itself, every team that has beat the Brewers since 1982 has either gone to or won the World Series. So
does it end here?
Does it end? Do the Phillies have enough cojones to end that streak? Because I'm sick of every time the Brewers did something in the postseason, I saw some historical stat that the Brewers did this. They're the only team to blow a 2-run lead in the 9th inning of a game 3. It's like I see all these stupid stats. I'm like, we are setting history in the wrong way. We're doing it like it's our job. We're just doing it. I mean,
like like I said, I don't want to be overly negative, but I mean, we saw the Phillies lose to I know the Diamondbacks got hot, but the Phillies should not have. Like, it's gonna come down. Like, if Alvarado can't close games, they're in trouble. Like that was what Kimbrel blew it for them last year. Like bullpen. That's why I love postseason baseball, though. It's every pitch literally does matter, and like regular season baseball, you just don't see guys like everything is just like magnified. And that's why, and that's playoffs of everything. But baseball is and it's such a momentum swing. Like, boom, a 3-run home run is just like it takes the air out of the building, or, a 3-run home run gets the crowd going crazy. Like it's such and there's no clock, so it's like you have to get 27 outs. It's anything can really happen, and I don't see the Mets being I'd almost be more I'd be less surprised if the Phillies lost to the Padres or the Dodgers. I think it would be the Dodgers I'd be less surprised about, but Yeah, that's a weird, and like the Mets are kind of like the Tigers of the NL right now. Like they've come in, like I wrote the Mets off a couple times this year, multiple times this year. I wrote them off, and like obviously you bring up a great point with they really didn't hit the ball tremendously well in that last game, but Alonso is like he's scary. He's always like that. One swing of the bat with him is,
Yep.
and obviously the Phillies have that too. It's just who's going to rise to the occasion. I think at Citi Field will be pretty cool too. Just because it's a different, like I like seeing like like a home game at the Royals. That would be cool. Like just different fan bases that haven't been like it's always the Yankees, it's always the Astros, it's always the Dodgers. These same staple team, but my question is to really end it on from my end is like if the Phillies don't do it this year, when? Like you know what I mean? It's been they've constructed this team for 3, 4, 5 years now. You had Hoskins, obviously you got Schwarber, Remuto comes over, like all these guys through the Philly system, and either they paid for him or they brought him through. Like Noel has been there forever. Excuse me, Zach Wheeler. Like these guys have been together for a while, and it's like I think if they don't make the World Series this year, you gotta switch something. Like there's got to be something switched up. Like I know it's a high bar to set, but they've had the roster to do it for the last 3 to 4 years, and I might sound crazy, but I wouldn't have a problem with them firing Rob if this thing doesn't go right. Rob Thompson needs to I just think he's too vanilla. He's like look at the Brewers manager. That guy is like he's fiery. Like I think Rob Thompson is a victim of I have a lot of talent and I don't know how much he makes them better. That's I've always said that. He's there. He's just along for the ride. It's like, well, cool, but I don't know. I just don't.
And sometimes that's the problem with having a lot of star power. It's not always it's not always the paychecks that you write and the amount of star power you bring into a room that wins the World Series. Ask the Dodgers. I mean, you're talking about last time was what, 2020 COVID year? Whoop-de-doo. Good job. Like, you want a high five? I don't know what you want out of that. Like, that was a broken year that a lot of people forget about and they want to take out of stat books and everything like that. So, I mean, if it's not this year, you definitely have to change. You're changing in the management position. You're looking at your general manager. You're looking all up through the system, and you're saying, why can we not put the talent on the field? I think that's what the Mets did. Now, this year, the payroll looks like complete crap because they're still paying Verlander, they're still paying Scherzer, they're still paying all these guys. But, you bring David Stearns in from Milwaukee. He's a guy who knew how to win baseball games and find winning players while not spending any money at all. So now you bring David Stearns in with an open checkbook. Now it's like this guy's going to be able to find talent. That's the same move I feel like the Phillies are going to be trying to make if they cannot make it to the World Series, win the World Series, anything but a World Series, at least appearance, and probably a Game 7, and something crazy happening to lose the game is a failure. Like at this point for the Phillies, it's a failure. It's nothing less than a failure. Then you look back at what lost us games. Like you were talking about Alvarado in the bullpen. He wasn't as reliable of a closer as you thought he was going to be. So now you got to go look elsewhere for a closer. You got to look elsewhere for, bats. You look at Castellanos. He hasn't been as good as what was advertised. So you're looking all around that system. You're looking all around the pieces and the guys you're paying, and you're like, okay, end of the day, are they good enough for the amount that we're paying them to do the job? And sometimes you question yourself in that situation. You're paying for a World Series and you're not getting it done. And that's where it comes down to money. Money is the big object of everything, but it comes down to who's the guy running the show. You mentioned Pat Murphy. He found a way to take a Brewers team that was destined for 74 wins and got him up to 93, 94. Like, that's where you're like, that's a manager. That's a guy who can manage guys who aren't supposed to be here. Now, how do I make a guy manage a star-studded lineup? It's something we're going to find out. Do the Phillies have enough to go to the World Series and win it? We're going to find out here coming up in this series. It's Saturday, right? Tomorrow, the series starts up. Mets and Phillies. Can't wait. If you're Aaron, for me, I just want to see the Phillies run them out of the building, and then I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get rid of that history. Got to get rid of it.
I don't know. It'll be. I didn't look at the free agent class, but I don't
There ain't
know.
much. There is not much to talk about free agency wise. I really do think Willie Adames and Pete Alonso will probably be in the top 10 free agent for batters or for hitters at least going into this free agency period. I don't think there's a lot.
I wonder if it'll probably be the rich get richer there. Like, I don't know. Because you look at I look at the Yankees as far as Rizzo's not going to play first forever. They had Ben, I think his name's Ben Rice, who was like a exciting rookie, but he kind of phased out. Like, did they go out and give Alonso a crazy deal? Keep him in I would hate to see that. Like, I don't know. That's because you say it's not a deep free agent class. It's like, well, then you tend to think, well, the Dodgers, the these teams that will, the Mets. I mean, the Mets might keep Alonso because they have fat pockets. Like, they have probably the most willing owner in the league to go over the luxury. He doesn't care. The Dodgers don't care, but that's a shame because like when there's not a lot of free agents, it's usually the rich get richer and it's not diversified. Like, you want to see a team like Detroit get somebody. You want to see a team like, even though I hate to say it, but the Royals get some. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. That'll be, but we've seen it. Like, I mean, the Padres are putting it together now, but there's teams out there with not a ton of, like, Detroit's even better example. Cleveland, they don't have a ton of star power. It's just, or like high payrolls. Just that's who you kind of love to see win, in my opinion. Like, it's just it's easier to root for that, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And I'd hate to see Pete Alonso flip sides and go over to the Yankees because I already hate the guy. I'd hate him more with the Yankees there, but man, that'd be a lot of power in that lineup there. Holy crap, that'd be a lot of power.
That's Soto too. Yeah, where does Soto?
You got a lot of deep pockets.
What's that?
You got a lot of deep pockets sitting all over the place, so it's going to be a bidding war. It is definitely going to be a bid war for Juan Soto's talents.
I think the Mets. I really do think the Mets get him though. I think they're going to hold no prisoners and give him like much more than the Yankees are willing. Because we've seen the Yankees kind of, okay, we're only going to a certain point. The Mets are like, we'll go as far, like, doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how far we'll go. So, and he's special enough to, like, you want to give that guy a 10, 12, $15 million deal. So,
oh yeah, yep.
Unfortunately.
Oh, I agree. We are just getting into the MLB playoffs. Sadly, Brewers out, but hey, hopefully the Phillies mop up them Mets and we can just get rid of Jesse Winker for the rest of our lives. That'd be okay. There. So with that, before we wrap it up here, Aaron, let everybody know out there where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, Brutally Honest Sports Podcast on TikTok, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that type of thing. Yeah, pretty much it. All the podcasting platforms. Brutally Honest Sports Podcast.
You got to find him out there. Always great stuff. He's on TikTok too. Some great TikToks, great information, everything you need to know. He's always great to have him on the show here because he gives good insight. He lets me know when I'm getting too crazy over here. He lets me know when I got to settle down because I get a little, he told me before the show even started. He's like, just keep her calm. Keep her calm about the Brewers. You're family friendly here on the show. You don't want to be cussing too much. Your grandma might hear it there. And we're good. We're not cussing too much. We're all good. We'll cuss behind the scenes. So with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your night and weekend. But until we talk to you guys again on Sunday, see ya.